Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Senator Carlos James, Richard Branch, Chairman of the Board of the Medicinal Cannabis Authority, and other board members, Dr. Gerald Thompson, the CEO of the Medicinal Cannabis Authority, and members of staff. Representatives here from Invest SVG, the Greg's Rastafari Progressive Society, Green Lava, Mr. Montgomery King, the contractor who did the fencing work. Give him a special round of applause, please. Specially invited guests, the media, and those who are listening us on radio, a pleasant morning. I want to begin by asking the question, who is Green Lava? Because I know that in Diamond Village, the community that I am from, there are persons there listening. They hear that is some weed company that the boy for Tadlin, that is Montgomery King, and the boy for Valerie, Saboto, and the boy for Anna, Saluka, is some kind of weed company they gone down leave to open with some people called Green Lava. Who is Green Lava? I want Johnny Sung to stand. Give him a special round of applause. Johnny Sung walked into the Ministry of Agriculture one morning, and he said that he was here to invest. Well, I realized that the accent didn't really match the face. So I said to him in front of the PS and the other members of staff, I said, well, there is Invest SVG that you should really speak to about issues such as concerning investment. But since you're here, tell us who you are. He asked me if I ever been to Trinidad and Tobago. I ask you to tell me who you are, not to ask any questions. He started to smile. He said, yes, I come into that. He said, ever been to clubs then? Well, right away, my Christianity took front stage. I said, but that's not the soca place, the party place. I said, I heard about it. He said, but as a UWI graduate, have you ever been to Club Coconuts? And I had a very bad experience at Club Coconuts. I said, I don't want to answer that one, because I remember one time I went to carry a message to somebody who was at Club Coconuts. And it took me so long to get in. By the time I got back home, I was so tired. It's the only time I've ever been late for class. So I stopped carrying messages to Club Coconuts since that day. But Johnny Sung came and he keenly expressed an interest. And what struck me most, and I am not saying this in any way, and I don't want it to be taken by anybody as a statement of discrimination. Johnny Sung is from Trinidad and Tobago. He's a Caribbean man. And as a region, we want to make a bold statement through and with our indigenous to show the world that we can enter the cannabis space and we can do it very well. Green lava is a perfect example of the type of companies that we want to encourage in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You have Mr. Providence, a local man. You have Desiree Richards, a local, regional and international businesswoman with a lot of links and a lot of ties to different things. Some you know about, some you don't know about. Then they linked up with Montgomery King, known as Kingman, who resides, born Vincentian, got his skill in Trinidad and Tobago, then went to the British Virgin Islands. They created a link, and he's now here doing construction. You're realizing this is a Vincentian thing. It's a Caribbean thing. And what we are doing here is that we are marrying that platform with persons from Canada, persons from Germany, persons from the United Kingdom and United States of America to have that technology transfer. Cannabis is a global issue. And we do not have the forte and the wherewithal in St. Vincent and the Grenadines to do it by ourselves. And what you see here as green lava is a medley of technicians joining forces with our people to make this happen. A special round of applause for green lava. The last time something this historic took place in this country as it pertains to the ushering of a new crop officially was about 50 or so years ago when we had the start of the banana industry. Even though in the last decade we had the bringing back of the cocoa industry. Cocoa was there before. So it's just a second run at it. But if we are to compare what is happening here with any epoch or dispensation in our history, it has to be akin to that period when we introduced a new crop about 50 years ago. And if we use that as the backdrop, you would appreciate how unpredictable the future is for the cannabis industry. We are going to work hard. We are going to be resolute. We are going to be steadfast. But there will be a lot of challenges ahead. And I want to encourage green lava. There's a young gentleman here who knows a lot about running. He was one of St. Vincent and the Grenadines' best athletes. And I have my particular bias. He is the best. John Cummins. He would tell you what it means to come out of the blocks early. Remember, I looked at a race that he came second. He came out of the blocks first at Arnorsville for cheering. And get into the middle of it. He has some guys who came out of the blocks a little late, but clipped him by a few split seconds. But I want to leave that as a caution, that you coming out of the blocks early, you will be facing some challenges, Kingman, and clearing some ways, and we're making the path easier for others. We have traversed a period of about 24 months thus far. And this started with a policy. The government said in the expression of the political will that we want to establish a modern medicinal industry in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I want persons who are listening, I did not say to establish a modern medicinal cannabis industry. It's to establish a modern medicinal industry of which cannabis is only one of the commodities. There is a huge industry for medicine to be made in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and extracts to be taken from moringa, from aloe vera, from soursop, from turmeric, and many, many other plants. So the quest was, from the beginning, to establish a modern medicinal industry of which cannabis is only one part. And we're going to have different companies coming in, and I hope that Green Lava will consider doing others as well as they go along if it's a part of their business plan. The cabinet was clear on the vision, and it started with a period and a process of national consultation. We went up and down the country. And I particularly want to thank Green Lava because Green Lava is not a now-come group. Green Lava was there from the period of the consultations. When we went to the select committee, Green Lava was there. When we went into the villages, Green Lava was also there. When we wanted technical support, Green Lava was also there. So Green Lava is not a company that came after the whole industry was established. And one of the reasons I really want to recognize this, if it did not happen, they would have lost thousands of dollars that they would have invested because you came in before the legislation and you are not certain if the legislation was going to be passed and accepted. And I really want to show the appreciation for that. The policy is clear that we are focusing on what is prescribed by international law. And what is prescribed by international law is that cannabis is to be used for medicinal purposes and scientific research. And coming out of a consultation with TNI few days ago, a consensus was reached whereby the Rastafarian community and other members of the public said that there was a bill that was taken to Parliament touching and concerning the religious usage of the herb, and that they will need the support of the government to obtain legal representation to address this issue from an international jurisprudential standpoint. So we're going to get to that. The authority has been established, and I really want to commend the authority, and I want us to recognize their hard work and their diligence. The authority has been established, and it is basically persons from different ministries, persons from different backgrounds coming together to ensure that we have the right regulatory framework in place. And what we are seeing here today is the company which basically has completed the infrastructural development needed to be given the right of way to begin. And Green Lava is first, and they must be recognized for their hard work and dedication. This industry is here for us to own it. And there are rules and there are regulations. I want to say to Green Lava, and I want to say to all listening, the Ministry of Agriculture, we don't deal with the implementation of the rules and regulations. The rules and regulations are being dealt with by the Medicinal Cannabis Authority. So all questions that you have must be pointed to the Medicinal Cannabis Authority. I am happy when I walked in the gate, and if everybody could look at the gate, I want the cameraman to pick up that part. Look at the gate. When you look at the gate, the entrance, there are about 4 trees there, 4 papaya trees. And that, to me, was one of the first indications that Green Lava is paying attention to the rules and the regulations. One of the first indications, as soon as I came in the gate of Luca, the first thing I saw, if I had seen those on the ground, I would have said, King man, we're in the wrong place. Probably they're opening lower down because this can't be the place. But you notice at the entrance, there's a statement there of food security. That's the statement that's there. And a few months ago, the MCA made a call to say that anyone who removes a fruit tree, if you remove it by accident, you have to put it back. Some persons say, well, it's their land, and they could cut down their fruit trees to plant weed. No. That type of lawlessness will be against the developmental trajectory that we want to take the country on. One of the sweetest guavas I ever had outside of the guavas from South Central Windward is a guava tree right there. And I realized men built around the guava tree, men planted around the guava tree, but the guava tree remained. And I just want to encourage persons who are getting into the industry. We can't destroy our country the same time as we're trying to build it. I am happy that the MCA has approval to construct our own lab so that we can do the testings, because it's not just about producing cannabis. It is about producing quality cannabis. We are going to have in place very soon the seed-to-sale tracking system. And I was advised by the MCA that the regulations for the patient access, that is being addressed. I want to close on a very important point, and one that I have shared with the Ministry of Agriculture. For those persons who are interested in the development of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, any assessment will reveal that there are different periods in our history. There's a period before conquest and colonization, and there's a period after. There's a period of slavery, there's a period of emancipation. There's a period of pre-independence, and there's post-independence. But I am certain when our history books are written that there will be a clear carve-out for the pre-Argyle International Airport and the post-Argyle International Airport. If it wasn't for the Argyle International Airport, Green Lava would have been asking the question, how we are going to move this cannabis? Because you can't take it to Trinidad in transit to some place. You can't take it to Grenada in transit to some place. You can't take it to Barbados. You may be able to take it to Barbados soon when they have their legislative framework completed. But if it wasn't for the Argyle International Airport, the country would have been very timid to approach this, because you would have been given investors an encouragement to come, but you don't have the means and the mode of transportation for them to take it internationally. And I want, it's not only in cannabis, but also in the fisheries subsector. There are so many different companies coming into St. Vincent and the Grenadines today wanting to invest in fisheries just because we now have an international airport. I am happy to see the persons from the private sector here, and I'm certain that I share that joy with Invest SVG. I see an accountant here, so the accountants are getting work. I see somebody from a security firm here, so that means that guardsmen and other security firms are getting jobs. I see caterers here. I see some specialized media people, men like Cap Balcom and others. And I also see some persons from the Ministry of Agriculture who are already discussing with several companies, persons from the Ministry of Agriculture, because they see an opening in the private sector. And that is what this thing is going to do. You're going to have persons and companies coming into the country, spotting great technicians in the ministry, and they will be making offers to them to come and work. Well, it's one country. We're developing the country. The technicians will know what they have to do with the permanent secretary, and they would work out those things. I really want to say today that I am indeed happy. There were some persons who said that this could never happen. Buffa and Latai, this man here, Buffa from the Greg's Rastafari Progressive Society, if you could raise your hand for persons who see. He's one of the men who stood up publicly 2 years ago and said to policymakers that we need to get this thing here going and going fast. I want to thank them for being here. I also want to thank the Nyabingi Order of Rastafarians in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I am happy to note that we, through this opening, will be able to dispel a lot of the falsehoods that we heard, that the traditional cultivator would this and the man who used to plant weed would that. And well, today, Green Lava is signing a memorandum of understanding which will be reduced to a contract with a group of traditional cultivators, and I think we need to show an appreciation to Green Lava for that. When you look through the laws and the legal landscape, whether it's in Jamaica or some of the other countries trying to implement legislation for cannabis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we are leaders as it pertains to the protection of the traditional cultivators. Anybody could call in on a radio station and say what they want to say, you know. Johnny Sung have plenty of radio stations, he will know about that. And Boom is here. A lot of people just call in on these radio stations and say what they want to say. At the end of the day, when people call in and talk, I just listen. But I know what is in the heart of the government, and I know that we love our traditional cultivators. And just like how we have an education revolution where no child is left behind, no traditional cultivator will be left behind. Thank you very much, and may God richly bless us.